Good morning. It is a brisk 36 degrees here at North Alabama Shooting Association gun range in North Alabama. We're going to have another test today. We're going to be testing out the PMC Ammunition X-TAC. This is the 55 grain full metal jacket boat tail with a estimated or advertised velocity of 3120 feet per second. So a few admin notes from the previous video. We were shooting at the head target. Now, I know a lot of people recognize that and have probably used it before in different classes. But I decided to change this test to make it a little bit more structured. I'm going to be using the Geoballistics target. Now, as I stated before, Geoballistics no longer has this on their website. If you're interested in using this target, message me and I will email it to you, as I have both the MIL and the MOA. Now, this target is really good if you are doing ammo testing or if you want to do measurements. Also, we're going to be continuing to use the Garmin Zero to measure out all the velocity and be able to capture data from all our shots. One other thing is, I dropped that. Going to be making notes. You should always be making notes for all your shots. A lot of old guys, a lot of old cats remembering that's where dope come from. Data of previous engagements. Continuing using the same rifle, this is going to be my 16-inch SPR build. I'm going to be using the primary arms 2.5 to 10 by 44. First focal plane optic to make these shots. One last thing before we start shooting. This rifle is not zeroed for this ammunition, so therefore I don't expect the point aim, point impact to be the same. What we're doing is we're gathering shots fired, and we're also going to be gathering how the spread looks once we get down there. Last thing, we're not going to be shooting at 200 yards this time. I got to thinking that not every range has a 200-yard range, so we're going to start doing these tests at only 100 yards due to the fact that most every range is always going to have a 100-yard range. All right, let's get to it.
Zero wind. I mean, maybe a light breeze. Still absolutely cold. First shot, 28-15. I can see one of the hits. Extremely high. Two of the hits. Maybe three. I see they're all, ooh, they're very high. All right. Let's go take a look. Well, let's first go and see what this looks like. Let's go back into this session. It is so cold. History. Okay. Shot summary. Your average was 28.33 feet per second. The extreme spread of 77. Jesus. And standard deviation of 27 feet per second. All right. Let's go down and see what it actually looks like in person. So we already know, or I already know, that the groups were not that good. Oh, okay, all right. So there's all 5 I know it is roughly, with my point of aim being here, point of impact up here, so I'm looking at, that's roughly 3.6 inches too high, which ironically on the last one at 200 yards, it was very similar.
Okay guys, let's go ahead and get a quick debrief because it is cold out here. So let's rehash what our plan was today. Plan was to shoot this X-TAC 5.56, 55 grain full metal jacket ammo at 100 yards and collect the velocity and see what the impacts look like, see what the groups look like. Now, first thing we had to do was set the rifle up, shot 5 rounds, and we shot this mill target that we have already talked about. Now, looking at this mill target, as was said before, all the impacts were actually high. Now, I've already stated that I knew the point of impact, point of aim was going to be different, so that's not a huge factor. What is interesting is where the actual impacts are and how the spread is. Now, that should also be something to look at when we're looking at the Garmin Zero, the data we collected from that. Now, I've also have the picture up on the side where you can look at it, where I have the app, and it'll show all the data there. One of the things is our minimum shot, our minimum velocity was 28, our max was 28.83. They are advertising 3120. That's roughly what, 300 feet per second slower than what they're advertising. Now our average velocity is 28.33 muzzle velocity. Extreme spread is 77 feet per second with a standard deviation of 27 feet per second. Now, why is this important to you as the shooter? Well, if you are setting up dope or if you're using a ballistic app, you're going to need to know exactly what's your average velocity. So that far you can try and put that in to be able to true your ballistic app to get all your data correct. Now, there is guys who do this a lot more. They do a lot more deep dive on this, and they may be able to try and give you better information. What the purpose of this video is to give you the velocity of this ammo and to show you what the actual groups look like. Good or bad, this is what the groups look like. It is cold, so I am going to cut this very short. One last thing I want to say, just opinions. This is my opinion part. I hear a lot of people talk about range ammo, practice ammo. Would I put the PMC X-TAC as practice ammo? Possibly yes. Do I feel like this is ammo that I would want to shoot out to, say, 400, 500, 600 yards? I would have to test in another rifle. And, you know, this could be just my rifle here. This could be this specific rifle that's having the issues. This barrel is 10 years old with, I don't know how many rounds down the tube. It could be 500. It could be 5,000 to 6,000. It could be 10,000. I honestly just do not know. I'm not keeping a round counts. I do know that this barrel has been shot quite a bit. Now, that's not to discount my shooting ability. That's not to say that I am not a factor in this, because that could very well be. This could all be my shooting ability or lack thereof. What my opinion is would I use this as competition ammo? Well, it depends on the range that I'm going to be shooting. If I'm only shooting maybe 200 yards, maybe even 300 yards, I mean, at what's this, almost 3.6 inches, 3.6 by 9, that's a 9 MOA, almost 11 MOA at 300 yards. If you're shooting a 10-inch plate, you're really pushing the limits of your capabilities with this, from at least from a mechanical capabilities. So my opinion is this is great ammo if I'm practicing, you know, we'll say at 100 yards, or if I'm just shooting maybe local matches where I'm not really, we'll say, practical accuracy or acceptable accuracy. That may be something that you say, okay, this is fine. But if I'm shooting a match where I'm shooting out to longer distances, this may not be the ammo I personally would choose. Okay, guys, if you like what you've seen, you know what to do. Smash that like and subscribe. I'm getting out of here. See y'all later.